So season 1, episode 8 of Queer as Folk, Babylon Boomerang, directed by Steve DeMarco and written by Richard Kramer. It first aired in the US on February 4th, 2001, and in Canada, February 26th, 2001. So Michael is in the employee locker room at the Big Q, and we see his co-worker Andrew. He tells Michael that he's applying for Bob Barbarossa's old job. I guess Bob Barbarossa, quite the name, is the manager of the Big Q right now, but he's getting promoted to the district manager, so Andrew wants to get that job. They're letting Bob Barbarossa, I'm going to stop saying his full name now, they're letting Bob pick his replacement from the store. How did Michael not know about this, though? Your store manager is getting promoted and you just don't hear about it? Like, obviously the word's going around. He really doesn't interact with his coworkers much, does he? I guess Marley wasn't kidding when Tracy was telling Michael in the other episode how she never hangs out with anybody from work, and I guess he just rarely talks to them too, because I feel like this is something you would find out. Also, oh my god, Michael has two, okay, not one, but two identical pictures of Captain Astro in his locker. Like, on display in his locker, two identical pictures, like practically right next to each other, and one is just a bigger size, and then there's a smaller size. The same picture, twice, of Captain Astro up in his employee locker at work. It's made even more hilarious by the fact that in Andrew's locker, he's got a ton of pictures of his kids and his family. So then Tracy comes out of nowhere.
So, aren't you going to ask me?
Ask you what?
What I think about you as Barbarossa's replacement. I think you'd rock.
Thanks, but I like my job. Besides, being a manager is a lot of responsibility.
Apparently, he's much more qualified than Andrew, and there's a raise. Also, another thing that I never noticed, I think I mentioned this before, that on my first, run through the show, I didn't really notice when some of these smaller characters in the first season were the same actors used throughout the series. Anyway, so I'm like, oh, there's Andrew, who we will see more of. Michael's been there longer, people like him better. I mean, Andrew must really just be not a nice person because yeah, they seem to like Michael, but then Marley's talking about him behind his back to everybody.
Marley says no one knows what you're really like, that you probably lead this double life.
That whole thing, and he never hangs out with anybody from work, so.
Something tells me you can kiss ass with the best of them.
So the gang is leaving Babylon.
Hey, my dad wants to send me to military school. I said, fuck no.
So Justin, that cocky attitude is going to come to a screeching halt in a minute. Emmett is wearing a cowboy hat, a winter scarf, and a blue trench coat. It's quite the combination. I don't think I hate it.
A little military school or something might do me some good. I just wanted to go to military.
Oh, I love how Justin and Brian are joking around with each other and playing with each other. I love how Justin seems to be more part of the group now, because before he would just kind of show up wherever they were and they'd be like, ugh, Justin's here again. But I think kind of starting at the end of 107 when Justin was at Brian's apartment with everybody else, and then now especially when he's here with everyone, like he's out at Babylon with them and nobody seems to be mad about it. He's included. He's talking to everyone. I love that things are starting. It's like they all kind of just started to accept that Justin's going to be here for a little while. Brian has a rental car because of Craig smashing into his car not once but twice in the last episode, and he's going to be getting a new car this week.
Please, at his age, he needs all the help he can get to attract those hot young things.
I thought after what happened, you might consider something a little more practical.
Well, like
Very close, very couple-y. It's just so darn cute. And I know that you can see this in the scene already, but in the script for this episode at this moment, the description says, Emmett wraps his arms around Justin and kisses him. Brian quickly gets Emmett's hands off of him. Jealous, ? In all caps, and pulls Justin towards him. Just in case you couldn't already tell in that scene. Okay, so first of all, Brian is definitely a little jealous and even possessive of Justin. You know, he's kind of playing it off and isn't 100% serious, but it's there. And second of all, the two of them are so close and so coupley. I'm sorry for saying coupley again, but I don't know what else to say here. So I think this is something that's been building for the last 7 episodes. But in episode 6, when Brian bought Justin's drawing of him, you know, that whole thing that I went on and on about during that episode. Someone seeing Brian when he's not on and portraying that persona that he usually does. Someone seeing the real him and him being vulnerable and to like that. And, you know, Justin sees him differently than other people do. Which I think part of why, aside from the fact that that's just who Justin is, he sees people, I think also a part of it is because he didn't know any of the myth or the legend of Brian Kinney that first night when he met him, whereas everyone else did and does who generally meets Brian. Also obviously part of the reason why Brian went for him too. Anyways, so Brian showed up at Justin's art show and he was all over him there. So I think that whole thing is what kind of marked a change between them. Brian's kind of more involved now, likes him a little bit more, and is going after him more, and just in general isn't super mad that he's there all the time. And so then in 107, the last episode, while Brian was kind of ragging on Justin, he still took him home. And then at the end of the episode, Justin was there taking care of Brian with everybody else. So it's now in this episode that we really see how close they've gotten because of all the stuff that Brian realized in 106.
You don't want any more weirdos ramming into you.
Okay, so I guess they really just completely disregarded what Justin said in the last episode about it being his father. I mean, he had really strong evidence as to why, but they still seem to think that it was that random guy outside of Babylon. Guys, you think it's a coincidence? I can't, whatever. It's a little bit hard to make out what they're saying here. But basically, Brian says, "Are you excited about the car?" And then Justin says, "Please." Parentheses in the script for when Brian says, "Are you excited about the car?" says, "Flirting." So, but anyway, so Justin is going home with Brian. And then Craig Taylor, everyone's favorite character, comes up to Brian.
Fucking pervert.
In that moment when Emmett holds Brian back and says,
It's his dad. Stop it.
ugh, I think he's saying, "No, you're just gonna make things worse. This is his father. He's probably might have to go home to him. And he is doing this because he's angry and he's seen Justin with a, near 30-year-old man. And it's his dad. You'll fracture this relationship even more. Basically, just don't make things worse." And then Craig Taylor gives Justin an ultimatum, which ultimatums are always a really good idea to get what you want.
You come home with me right now, or you never come home again.
Brian yells out. I think Brian does this because, I don't know, he's just frustrated about the situation. He was just beaten up, so, that's gonna make you mad. He's angry someone is doing this, let alone a father to his son.
Never again.
He just seems so calm and determined when he says that.
Did you hear me? I said never again!
I think Craig has also just realized what he's done in that moment. I don't think he thought that Justin wouldn't come home, and he was probably really angry when he said that. Not that I'm defending Craig Taylor of all people, but also in the background, when we're on Justin, you can see Ted and Emmett and, Michael all look like they feel so bad for Justin, especially Ted. He just looks like he feels so bad for him right now.
Go! Get the fuck out of here! Go! I'm never coming home again. Never!
Justin.
Fucking never! Stop.
Oh, Justin! Justin definitely loses that calmness that he had before. I think it's kind of hitting him right now, too. I think he's kind of like, I'm never coming home again. I think Justin also needed to be told to stop. So then Justin walks to the car and looks back towards his father. I think he just can't believe what happened. Also, the scene ends with him going over to his side of the car to get in, when just like a couple minutes ago, he was also going around to his side of the car to get in, and he was so happy, like so incredibly happy. Now it's just the complete opposite. I almost can't believe how good and happy things were just a minute ago. And then we're at the diner. Justin is recounting the story of what happened to Debbie. Kind of excitedly. He's really into the story. He is definitely embellishing. He's also smoking inside the diner. Crazy to think that was allowed. Emmett and Ted are making fun of him as he's embellishing this story. I love how Emmett is kind of lying or leaning on Ted. Guess it's probably really, really late right now.
You boys think this is funny? Oh, is this your idea of some evening entertainment? This poor child's been fucking traumatized.
I like that she points that out.
I'm turning 18 soon. That means I can vote and get married and join the army. Hopefully not in the same day.
Can't drink or smoke, though. Two things you're already doing.
But as far as your parents are concerned, you're still this sweet, innocent little boy. They're not ready to think of you sucking cock and taking it up the ass. They're not ready to see you as a man, especially a gay man. They need educating so they understand what you're going through.
What about what I'm going through? His father almost broke my fucking ribs. I should have him arrested.
Leave it alone. You've done enough damage tonight.
What did Brian do tonight, though? I guess just the fact that he's a 29-year-old going out with a 17-year-old is definitely not good and not a smart move. Like I said, I think I said this before, but if I had a 29-year-old friend who told me they were seeing a 17-year-old, I'd be like, no, that is not okay. Are you insane? But really, though, Craig Taylor should be going to jail. If not for beating up Brian tonight, then at least for hitting him with his car twice. You can't even call that an accident when you do it twice, when you back up and hit someone again. But, I understand why they're not going to the police. It would make things a lot worse for Justin's family than it already is. Craig could then in turn probably have Brian arrested for corruption of a minor. Honestly, with Craig's defense of, I went crazy, this 30-year-old man was sleeping with my child, who's a minor, let's be honest, he probably wouldn't even go to jail, especially in 2001. I guess this is best, but it makes me mad because Craig Taylor should be behind bars. Debbie seems kind of a little out of it.
Somebody get some help!
Apparently she's been working since 6 a.m. It's gotta be really, really late. I mean, she's probably going on 24 hours here. How embarrassed she is that her wig fell off.
I lost my hair. Oh my.
Oh.
I'm gonna take you to the hospital.
No, I have to finish my shift.
Your shift's over, Mom.
I swallowed my gum.
So we're back at the Taylor's house.
What were you thinking?
I wasn't.
Oh, that's right. You never do. You just act.
I did what I had to do.
What you had to do. Craig, do you know how close we are to losing him? What do? You practically push him out the door?
I told him to come home, Jen. He would.
It's not what you said, though. You gave him an ultimatum. You said, come home now or never again.
Who would with a lunatic?
Exactly. Like, when the option is going home with this crazy guy who just beat up the person that you really care about right in front of you.
Look, I'm trying to protect our...
It's you he needs protection from.
Yes, it is. Which is something I think we see, again, at the end of the episode.
Yeah, well, he made his choice.
What did you say?
I said he made his choice, Jen! I gave him a choice, he made it!
Oh, big man. Big man. Don't come upstairs. I mean it. I don't want to see you.
I am not gonna be humiliated by a bunch of...
Fags? I got news for you, big man. You already have been.
Jennifer just seems so disgusted by him, as she absolutely should be. You know, he's all concerned with their appearance and being a man and being in control, and Jennifer can see how stupid that is. He definitely was humiliated tonight because he was so petty and whatever, and lost his son. Honestly, if I were Jennifer, I would just leave him right then. I know she has another kid with him. He pays the bills. She doesn't work, I don't think. And they are definitely people who are concerned with appearances in general. But I have to say that I would be done and gone. But I understand that there's a lot more to this situation. Everyone from the gang, including Justin, is at Debbie's house. Vic's there too. Obviously, he lives there.
You're gonna stay here and take it easy.
I can't afford to take it easy.
It's not gonna kill you to stay home for a day or two, Deb.
I love how concerned Brian is and how much he cares for her. Feels like this is just the tip of the iceberg of what we're going to see from their relationship.
Bed rest is an important part of every recovery.
Thank you, Doogie Howser.
Michael notices Vic go outside, so he goes after him. We learn the doctor said it was just exhaustion.
You have any idea how tired you have to be to fall over? That's how tired your mother is. And it's all because of me.
But Vic feels so guilty, and he really sees how serious this whole thing is. And I don't know, I love the delivery here. I love Vic, I love this scene.
But I'm the reason she's pushing herself so hard, working double shifts. To pay off my debts. She's even taken out a second mortgage.
What, on our house?
Yeah. She couldn't get much, but she did.
Why didn't you tell me?
She made me promise not to.
Obviously, Debbie's a lot worse off money-wise than she's been letting on. And then we're back at the loft. Brian is inspecting the damage in the mirror. Very, very concerned about his appearance, as we all know.
I'm sorry for my dad and everything.
I didn't mean to cause you any problems. Well, I'm gonna go. Where? I don't know. I'll find someplace. Justin, you can stay here.
The way he says Justin, it's just so honest, and there's none of that, you know, stuff that Brian usually puts on everything he says. None of that Brian Kinney inflection, so.
On the sofa.
I don't know why he just can't sleep in the bed. I guess Brian thinks that it's the right thing to do. Maybe he just loves his personal space. I don't know.
You're not crying, are you?
I'm not some little faggot.
No, you're not. You're pretty brave, actually. Standing up to your father like that.
You know, it's hurting you.
Get some sleep.
Okay, so I think that Brian really admires Justin, especially since we know that Brian never came out to his parents. He, you know, avoided that conflict. Justin did what he never could, and he stood up to his father, something that maybe Brian never did. And there's this kind of, I don't know how to describe it, kind of like a guilty look or like an, look on Brian's face when Justin says, he was hurting you. Like, I guess because he kind of feels bad because this all happened because of him, because of Brian. Obviously, we know that it wasn't all because of Brian and that there are a lot of other factors here, but that's how he sees it and how some people see it. Justin starts to get his bed ready. Brian takes off his pants and gets into bed. He's holding his ribs, which he'll do throughout this episode to remind us that his ribs are bruised, probably, not good. Justin strips down to his underwear, and then Justin carefully, like as carefully and quietly as possible, steps into the bedroom and kind of crawls into bed. Brian rolls over and sees him and looks at him, and then he pulls up the blanket and he looks a little, I don't know, sad and protective and kind of like, okay. And then he rolls over and then they both close their eyes to go to sleep. What a moment. It's a really great moment for the two of them and in general, and Justin's just gone through so much that night. And in the script, if you were curious, the description for this scene, Brian stares at Justin and then pulls up the covers over him protectively. I love it. I also feel like when you're watching it though, you see so much more than just that protectiveness. So I think that Justin is feeling very scared and alone right now. Well, we've seen it, you know, it's just hit him kind of everything that happened. He was probably running on a lot of adrenaline before this and it's kind of all hitting him. He seemingly could never go back to his home again, which is really scary. And you know, where is he gonna go? What is he gonna do? What's gonna happen with him and his family? And so he wants to be close to someone and he wants to feel some kind of comfort, and Brian probably knows that and can see that, and so he covers him with the blanket to try and provide some of that. I think he also feels really bad and guilty for what happened tonight. We know that in the past couple episodes he's really started to care about Justin a lot more. We're at the Liberty Diner. Michael and Brian are talking. Brian's trying to decide on what car to get, but more importantly, Brian is wearing a red shirt and a red tie. Identical reds, identical color. A bright red. All I can think is that they really wanted to make him look like the devil for some reason. I think this is his devil suit. Why? I do not know. Because he's not really acting like the devil in this scene. Yeah, he's acting like he really cares about Justin in this scene, and he's, you know, I don't know. I'm confused. I know some people like that look. I think I've seen some people say that, but
What is he doing at your place?
He had to stay somewhere.
the insensitivity here is astounding. Michael was there last night. He saw everything that happened. What Justin's father did, how upset Justin was, how upset everybody was. The whole thing, and then he's just like, what is he doing at your place? He knows he can't go home. Deb wasn't up to having overnight guests. You certainly weren't offering up your sofa. Where was he gonna go? So then we're quickly reminded, though, that, you know, Michael's really upset about his mother's current condition and the money problems that she's having, so I get that he's probably just projecting a lot and upset and preoccupied with that, but
His dad almost beat the shit out of you.
clearly Michael, I guess, is also concerned about his best friend, but maybe he could put aside some of his jealousy and have some understanding or empathy for this 17-year-old who was just kicked out of his home. I love that Brian doesn't even acknowledge him. He's just like, yeah, I'm not gonna get into this.
What do you think?
What do I think? It's obvious you don't care what I think about your boy Wonder. What difference does it make how I feel about your Batmobile? Well, like, you're sitting here trying to decide what new hot car to buy my mom might lose her fucking house.
Okay, so it's when Michael says this that we realize, oh, right. He's upset about that. He's preoccupied about that. Explains a little bit of his comments before.
Michael, if you need money...
No.
Look, I've had an amazing year.
That's great, but thanks anyway.
And the way that Brian says Michael, you know, it sounded so formal and official because I think, you know, he usually just calls him Mikey, right? At least at this point in the series. And also the way that he says it, he seems very sincere. None of that, you know, Brian Kenny inflection kind of that I was talking about before.
I'm offering you a fucking gift. I know. I just can't.
Why?
Because you're always there for me, taking care of things. Fighting off the bullies at school and giving me the answers to tests and taking me to the hospital the first time I got gonorrhea. This is my mom. And this is something I have to do for her by myself.
I mean, Brian cares about Debbie a lot too. It's not something we've really seen a ton of yet, but we know they have a relationship, a very long relationship. She was also there for Brian when he was growing up and when he was a teenager and for most of his life. But, you know, I get it. People never want to accept charity, especially from their friends. I wouldn't accept it either. Also, the first time you got gonorrhea, Michael, how many times have you had gonorrhea? Justin and Daphne are walking to school. Justin tells her about his night and he asks her about hers.
Had vegetarian lasagna and read A Lesson for Dying, which is exactly what it felt like.
But Jennifer is there. She shows up. She gives Justin his uniform and his backpack.
So I know you've got that essay due today.
Tomorrow.
See, so she's really involved in his life. She knows so much about it. She cares so much about him.
I want you to come home.
After what Dad did? No way.
He got crazy. He didn't know what he was doing, but we can work this out, I promise.
Dad, don't promise. Now, would you please go?
Do you need anything?
for you to go.
Feels like a bit of a regression here from Justin. He was acting like this to his mother before, and then they kind of reconnected and became closer again. He was treating her better, they were getting along mostly, and now he's back to this. Makes me so sad. We had so much progress, but he's angry. He's angry that she told his dad when she said that she wouldn't. He probably doesn't feel like he can fully trust her anymore. The whole he said, don't promise just now, because last time you made a promise to me, you broke it. And after everything with his dad, he doesn't want to forgive, and he doesn't want to live with someone who hates who he is. Probably wants his mom to take his side completely and not make any excuses for his dad, because Craig was being crazy. Vic is in the kitchen at Debbie's.
You're supposed to be taking a nap.
Well, naps are brief. That's why it's a short word.
Also, Debbie's hair looks great. Vic is looking at apartments for rent.
I'm thinking of moving out. I'm feeling much better now. And with my disability, I can afford to get a room somewhere.
You have a room somewhere here.
I don't want you to feel obligated.
Vic is very upset here.
You know, you were coming this close to getting punched out.
Your doctor told you not to exert yourself.
Well, fuck him. I punched you out when you were a kid, and I can punch you out now. I want some soup.
Chicken noodle?
And then Vic goes to make her some soup.
When you came back from New York, I didn't take you in because I felt obligated. I took you in because I wanted to. Hell, I would do it again.
Oh, yeah, let's. The dementia, the thrush, the CMV, that was a laugh and a half.
I mean, I want you here sick, and I want you here well. I'll take you any way I can get you. Where's my soup? I'll serve. I don't want to get rusty.
Okay, so I love their relationship so much. I feel like it's one of the most honest and realistic depiction of siblings that I've seen. I love it. I love the back and forth that they have. I think obviously the two actors are amazing, but I know I love when they fight. I love when they, love each other, but it's not all, super lovey-dovey, but it is, but like they just seem like such honest siblings, and I love that. Miss Jennifer Taylor shows up at Brian's office.
Hi, Jennifer Taylor, Justin's mother. Okay, we got his clothes, sketch pad, shoes, underwear. Oh, Yellow Submarine. It's his favorite. He's watched it 1,000,000 times. Did you know he wanted to be an animator?
No,
No, you wouldn't.
It's interesting because I bet that Justin knows everything there is to know about Brian, and then Brian doesn't even know what Justin wants to be when he grows up. I love how Jennifer is very no nonsense and all business here.
Check. Here we go. Well, Justin's expensive.
I'm sure he's very expensive.
You think he's staying with me?
Where else? He's gonna have to live somewhere, since he told me he's never coming home again.
But why do you care what he says? You're his mother. Come and get him.
If I came and got him, he would just run away, and I might never see him again. Do you know what happens to runaway kids, Mr. Kinney?
They end up on milk cartons.
Or worse. At least with you. I know where he is.
He's not my responsibility.
Oh, yes, he is. You seduced him. You fucked him. So now he's yours. Just kindly see that he takes his allergy medicine and does his homework and gets to school on time. And tell him that we love him.
And then she slams the door on her way out after delivering this super great speech. And then she power walks away like nobody's business. And I think she's right. If she showed up and just dragged him home, he'd just be like, no, this isn't where I want to be. You can't make me stay. And then he'd leave. She'd obviously rather that Justin be at Brian's place than him run away because she knows where he is and that he's safe. And I think that she also wants Brian to understand all of the responsibility that comes along with having Justin stay with him. It's real hard work. Maybe she thinks also that Brian will convince him to go. When I first watched this scene, like the first time I watched it, I was like, yes, you tell him, Jennifer. He is your responsibility. You drew him out and you got him into this world of yours. You got him living this way of life. I just mean like going out all night, clubbing, going to bars. This is someone who's technically still a child. You knew that he was a child, so now you have to deal with those consequences. But, now I'm like, well, it was Justin who went out that first night. He was on a mission. It's been him that's, been doing this. He knew what he wanted and he went for it and he got it, and he is almost 18. So, he's old enough to make his own decisions. He's not helpless, but I don't know. Brian knew how old that Justin was. We know that he knew that he was pretty young, and then pretty early on he found out how old he was. Him engaging with him and continuing that and trying to get him to live a certain way of life or exposing him to this kind of makes him his responsibility at least. Like he has some responsibility. Or it would be kind of him to have some responsibility. I don't know if anybody really responsible for anyone. I don't know. It's just so complicated.
If what's-his-name, Justin,
Wants to go out and pick up guys while he's still in high school. That's his responsibility. My responsibility is to myself. I don't owe anybody a goddamn thing.
No, there's so many layers to this. Justin is a person capable of making his own decisions and whatnot. Brian knows better, so it's just...
Congratulations on the promotion.
Oh, thanks.
You picked your replacement yet? I'd like to toss my hat in the ring.
Well, sure, Mike. Sure. They're having a little congratulation dinner for me tomorrow night. Why don't you come along and bring your lady?
Who says that? Bring your lady? Oh, Bob. I feel like Michael could have just been like, oh, sorry, I don't actually have a lady right now. Anyways, so they're talking about it at the gym.
Oh, tell them the truth already.
He said that he's a nice guy, that he likes you.
Even Ted now thinks that Michael should tell the truth. Whereas before, Ted was very much on team don't come out, and we saw that in 102.
You do what you have to do.
Michael tells them about this woman who works at the Big Q named Helga.
Big, short cropped hair, drives a pickup. She's been working there 15 years. Every year she gets passed over for promotion by people who've been there 1 year, 2 years. Everybody knows why. Nobody says anything.
Michael doesn't want to be doing that in 15 years. What did he want to be doing in 15 years? Because I feel like 5 minutes ago, he didn't want the promotion. He said he liked his job and he wanted to stay there. But oh well. Brian comes home and Daphne's on the answering machine trying to get Justin to pick up. Justin is listening to a Walkman or Discman, and he's dancing all out, really having the time of his life. He's wearing Brian's shirt.
Woo! My baby! Woo!
What are you doing?
Huh?
What are you doing?
He screams that in such a scary voice. If that were me, I'd be crying and running out the door.
Listening to Moby? It's really hot. So, what's up?
Justin is just really trying to diffuse the situation here. I mean, which good for him for realizing the best thing to do in that situation. Because like I said, I'd just be running away.
What's up? Is you left my door unlocked? Is your mother paid me a little visit today? I mean, what's up? Is you gonna take off my shirt and clean up your shit? And all I wanted to do was come home and have something to eat.
I could make you something.
Mm-hmm. No, you couldn't.
I'm sorry I'm in your way.
Not as sorry as I am.
I didn't mean for it to happen.
Well, it did.
So maybe this is why Brian is dressed like the devil. He's still in his devil suit, although it's kind of not as devilly when he's wearing the gray jacket with it. And then later on in the episode when he's wearing a very similar outfit, but it's a more toned down red color. Maybe that's why, when he's chilled out a little bit. Oh look, there it is! There's fridge lamp! Brian's got this lamp on top of his fridge. It probably showed up before now and I just missed it, but there it is. It always seems like such a strange place to put a lamp to me. Like, why is it up there, Brian? How do you turn it on and off? Who puts a lamp on top of their fridge? And so far back?
You're here as the result of a series of unfortunate circumstances, which have given me the worst headache in my life. And a duffel bag full of your fucking underwear.
Okay, I don't know why, but this is one of my favorite line deliveries. Like the way he just says,
full of your fucking underwear.
Justin just starts to follow him to bed.
Now I'm going to bed. Okay.
And oh my god.
Alone. You go over there and do your homework. And lights out by 11.
I love how when Brian says that, he's like, oh my god, what am I doing? What has my life become?
11?
Do you know that I had to promise your mother that you wouldn't be late for school tomorrow? And by the way, she sends her love.
My responsibility is to myself. I don't owe anybody a goddamn thing.
Okay, side note, I didn't mention this before, but you could really see the makeup covering Justin Randy's tattoo in that scene where he crawls into bed with Brian. And you can really see it here too. I don't know what they're using. They really need to invest in some better makeup to cover that up because Brian is obviously very angry and upset. I get it. Last night, he was beat up. His ribs are still killing as we're continually reminded by him holding them. He was also recently in a car accident too, let's not forget. And then Justin is living with him, or staying with him, and he likes his life a certain way. This is disrupting that. And then Justin's mom stops by his office, kind of yells at him, and tells him that Justin is his responsibility now. Words I'm sure that Brian did not want to hear. She reminds him of everything that comes with, and we know that Brian doesn't like responsibility or to be responsible for anyone but himself.
You're the only one you need. You're the only one you've got.
Part of the reason that Lindsay wanted to have his baby was so that he would be responsible for someone else, give him some responsibility. And then he comes home after a very long and pain-filled day. His door is unlocked, so anyone could have gotten in. Although people just walk into the loft like all all the time. Pretty sure he just leaves it unlocked constantly anyway. So his place is kind of a mess. Someone's wearing his shirt and using his stuff. You know, everything is not as it should be and not in its right place. His life was simple and now it's so very complicated. I understand why he's mad. Justin deals with this really well though. Like I said, if that were me, as soon as he yelled that first thing, I would have been in tears and out the door. But even while feeling all of this, Brian does actually try to be responsible. He tells him the things his mother said, do your homework, lights out by 11. He's gonna get him to school on time the next day. He tells Justin that his mother sends her love. Her love. Now, what she actually said was,
and tell him that we love him.
We. You could just say that he forgot her exact wording, which is a bit of it probably. I think that Brian knew that when Jennifer said we, she really meant just herself. He could see that Jennifer loves Justin very much. He's seen that before too. You know, she took him to therapy.
Maybe she's trying to understand you.
She showed up at the art show, and he doesn't want to lie to Justin. Justin might not even believe it if he said they or whatever, your parents. So he's being honest and telling him the truth, and I think that that was really nice of him. You know that Brian is all honesty and no lying and all of that. This was also kind of him too, I think. Anyways, so we're back at Debbie's house, and she's trying to sneak out to go to the diner. Vic blocks the door with his body.
Get out of those clothes and back in your muumuu.
Uncle Vic asked me to bring some rope to tie you down. I'm up for a promotion at work. Taking care of me all by yourself. Nobody to help you. And I've never done anything for you.
That is not true.
Now it's my turn to take care of you, and I will. I swear.
Baby, you don't have to take care of me. You already do so much.
Well, I want to do more. Now will you stay home and try and get a little rest?
It's my hero.
Wow, what about Vic though? I guess she just really sees the best when it comes to her son. I mean, Vic's been there the whole time and physically restraining her, but I guess Michael's her hero, so he is her son. And again, I loved the stuff between her and Vic. I just love their relationship so much. Lindsay is helping Brian to pick out a new car. They're at a dealership. She's brought Gus.
I bet Justin will like it too, driving around with his sugar daddy.
I am not a sugar daddy. Would you please leave him out of this?
I mean, I think we shall see him eat those words.
Beautiful, baby. Looks just like you.
Oh, thank you. So do our 5 others. I'm gonna go change him, honey.
You do that, sweetie.
I wonder if Brian also brought Lindsay because, you know, so then they would think that he's a family man and then give him a better deal on a car. Either that or him and Lindsay just love playing games with people.
You don't really want this.
I don't?
Fags drive it. I mean, I don't know what it is, but they're attracted to it like flies. Nice couple like you want to be in something like that.
And then he points or like motions to a car, but with 5 kids, I feel like they would need something bigger than that.
I appreciate the warning, but I'm curious. Do you think I could take one for a test drive? And then I'll try one of the straighter models. So, honey, what do you think? We'll take it.
Okay, so this whole thing just seems so ridiculous to me, as it always has. Also, as a side note, before I really dive into my rant about this, I know that we're only 8 episodes into the show, but I kind of feel like we've moved past or grown past this version of Brian. But regardless of that, it just always seems so insane to me. Like, you're really going to, because that guy said some homophobic comments to you, then take that car and drive it through the front windows of the dealership? He could have killed someone. Like, he really could have killed someone. We literally saw people diving out of the way. He could have killed them. And not only could he have killed these strangers in this dealership, he could have killed his child and the mother of his child. All that glass flying around, he could have blinded baby Gus. I mean, this is just insane, and it feels like a major overreaction. I mean, okay, he could have killed people, and he could have gone to jail for a long time. I mean, the fact that he didn't go to jail is, and will forever be, a complete mystery to me. Why was he not arrested? Why was this never ever brought up again? And I don't even mean like in the rest of the series, no one's ever like, hey Brian, remember that time you almost killed your kid? And for anybody who's gonna be like, oh, Lindsay and Gus were in the bathroom. Well, obviously they'd been in the bathroom a while. He knew they weren't gonna stay in there for forever. Like, obviously, like they came out, whatever. Anyways, but even in this episode, it's not mentioned. Past this point, no one mentions it. Lindsay doesn't mention it. Brian drives this car into the dealership, narrowly missing many people, and this guy's just like, what, glad to be getting the commission? Not one person is calling the police? I always think that with this, it would have been much better if A, it hadn't happened, or B, the whole thing happened and then immediately it cuts to Brian in the car with the guy before he took the car out for a test drive, or test driving the car, or whatever, telling us that he just imagined doing that. He didn't actually almost kill a bunch of people. He just imagined doing it. But also it kills me, like the look that Lindsay had on her face when Brian did this. She was just kind of like, oh, that Brian. So if he just imagined doing this, we wouldn't have to deal with things like, why didn't he get arrested? Why didn't he go to jail? Why wasn't Lindsay mad that he could have killed her and their child? Why does no one care? Another thing that I always think after this scene is that this must have been something that happened in the British version of the show and then didn't quite translate. And after watching the British version, I can confirm. So this does happen in the British version of the show. Some key differences to note though. Salesman said some things that were worse than what he said in the US version.
We get a lot of gay guys buying this one. Think about those lads, money to burn, and then they die young, so we get the resale value.
So there's that. Also, the Lindsay and Gus counterparts weren't in the dealership at the time, so he didn't put their lives in danger. And lastly, it is mentioned again. It's brief, it's a very brief mention, but they do kind of deal with it.
He said, we're suing for damages. Put me through to Mr. Burton. What did Burton say?
He said, fuck them.
He did. He said, we'll countersue. And he said, we'll tell the papers what your man said. You're up against a PR company now.
Which is a very quick explanation, and they're still kind of discounting that the police should have been called. At least it was kind of dealt with and explained and not pretended like it didn't happen. Honestly, I just still think the best situation here would have been if Brian didn't do it and he just imagined doing it, because that the imagining would then explain why it was never dealt with or mentioned again. Especially when Lindsay was there. It's not even like it was just Brian who went to the dealership on his own, did this crazy thing, dealt with it on his own, whatever. Like Lindsay was there. Whew. Rant over. Dr. David seemed to be giving Michael a massage. So last we saw, David was challenging Brian on the floor of Babylon. So I guess Brian did back off a little bit. And maybe that's another reason why he's spending so much time with Justin. And I mean, like at the beginning of the episode, obviously we know why he's spending a lot more time with him now. Michael's phone rings and David hands it to him.
Brian.
David doesn't look to see who called, but he's just, assuming that it's Brian. So clearly Brian is still a sore subject between the two of them. It turns out it was Tracy.
Oh. Girl has a crush on you.
She doesn't have a crush on me. She likes me. I like her.
But not in the same way.
Exactly. I'm so glad that David can see this, even if Michael is in complete denial.
I invited her to go with me to Bob's party.
Really? As your date?
See, David knows that this is not kind and not a good idea.
No. Well, yeah, but no.
Well, that's clear. Have a great time.
I'm supposed to bring my lady.
Does Tracy know why you're asking her?
I couldn't tell her that.
Well, don't you think it's fair, considering she's going there thinking that she's your lady?
Yes, exactly, David. Poor Tracy thinks, oh, yay, finally, Michael's asked me out on a real date. It's just really not kind to her at all. He's been leading her on for the past 8 episodes. Tracy, 7 episodes, because she wasn't in the first one.
Michael, I know how important this promotion is to you. But what you're doing is not right. It's not fair to Tracy or to yourself. Believe me, I know. I've lived it. The deceit, but always with a good reason. The only thing is that there's never a good reason. There's only the hurt that you cause. That is why you have to tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Which you can afford to do. I can't. I don't have an office and a diploma and nothing available till 4 weeks from Tuesday. I don't even have my own bathroom, but I do know that if I just tell the truth, I probably never will.
Okay, so, wow, David has a really good point. It's not fair to Tracy, and it's also not fair to him. It's mean, it's unkind, and it's not fair. But Michael has a point too. He doesn't want to be Helga, never promoted, stuck there forever. So now it's easy for me to say, I think you should tell Tracy. She seems nice and like a good person, and I don't think that she would tell anyone if you asked her not to. But from Michael's perspective, and it is true, you never know. You never know about someone. No matter how nice they seem, he can never know for sure how she would take it, if she would tell anyone. So he's scared and I get it. I just wish that he would find a way to let her know that nothing's gonna happen between the two of them.
I can't believe his mom actually brought you his stuff.
Yeah, she practically made a gift out of it.
Gifts can be returned.
I just want him out of my life and out of my house.
Brian spots a guy in a Hotlanta shirt.
Have either one of you ever been to Atlanta?
Brian and Hotlanta are making out in the elevator of his loft. That elevator looks super unstable. Brian comes home and Justin has made a mess of his kitchen. And not like a regular mess, like a huge mess. Last night when Brian came home,
And all I wanted to do was come home and have something to eat.
I could make you something.
Mm-hmm. No, you couldn't.
Justin just took that note and this time wanted to have dinner waiting for Brian when he came home so that he would be happy. You know, it's what Brian said that he wanted last night. And also so that he could prove to him, no, I can do this. I'm not totally useless. I have value.
Smells good. Jambalaya. I didn't know how much rice to use, and the water for the shrimp overflowed a little bit.
Maybe I can help. You know, I used to live in New Orleans. Well, my boyfriend and I, we made jambalaya all the time. We just cook and fuck.
Oh, Hotlanta. Also, does he think that Justin is Brian's boyfriend?
It's not bad. But you know what you need? Just an itsy bitsy pinch of cayenne pepper. That's what'll give it that extra special kick.
Okay, so I love Hotlanta. He went there for sex with Brian, but he also just seems so happy to help Justin with the jambalaya. It's definitely also in my top 5 of Brian's tricks.
Now you can either stand around here eating jambalaya, you can come upstairs and eat my ass.
So then Brian opens the dividers and starts undressing while looking in the kitchen. I love how Hotlanta says,
Well, maybe we can have some of this after, huh?
kind of looks like he feels a little bit sorry for the kid and he's like, oh, sorry, but you know, I gotta go. Hotlanta, I wish we got to see more of you.
My mom says it's always better the second day.
Justin and Hotlanta are really bonding here. I feel like they could have been friends. Justin just looks so sad and then he leaves. Was this mean of Brian? Absolutely. Wrong move, Brian. So he wanted to show Justin that this was his house and he's gonna live how he wants to live in it. They're not married, and just because Justin is living with him right now, that's not what's happened. He needs his space and he needs to be able to do what he wants. Do I think that there were better ways to accomplish this? Yes. Definitely. Do I think Justin would have listened or got it? Honestly, probably not. Well, maybe. He really hurt Justin here, and Brian just kind of went for the nuclear option, which he frequently does. So, you know, he really hurt Justin here, and I guess Justin thought that they were kind of together or a couple, but he was mistaken, and he's realizing that here. His feelings are just very hurt. He went to all this work to make this meal for him, and this is how he's repaid. It's not just the fact that Brian is doing other guys literally right in front of him. Poor Justin. But, you know, I get why Brian did it. He was wrong to do it, but I get why he did it. Michael and Tracy are at Bob's dinner thing.
You know Tracy? Sure. Although I didn't know you two were an item, though.
So Tracy definitely thinks that this is a date. And I like Tracy's outfit. I really like her outfit. Bob's wife thinks that they're married.
Give them some time, will you? They're still working on it, you know? Probably need to put some money in the bank first, right?
Oh, well, maybe you can help them with that.
Like I said before, I think that Michael should have just said to Bob when he told him to bring his lady that he didn't have a lady. But obviously, it turns out that it was a good thing that he brought one because that's probably what leads to him getting the job. But again, you know, he didn't know that before. The TV show knew, but Michael didn't know.
And it's only our first date. I mean, if this is a date.
Can I get you a drink?
Oh, sure.
Oh, Michael. Andrew introduces Michael to his wife.
I didn't know you two were going out.
Well, we like to keep it discreet, you know, since we work together.
Okay, wow. So before Michael was kind of vague and whatnot about this whole thing, but now he's just like, yeah, me and Tracy are dating.
In fact, you should hear some of the ones about you.
Like what?
Nothing I'd want to repeat, but the kind of thing that could really hurt someone's chances. Especially if they were looking for promotion.
And the way that Andrew says this definitely looks like he's threatening Michael. And then Tracy shows up and he's all like,
there's my girl.
I kind of love Michael's pointed look at Andrew here. I wonder if Andrew's wife, Liz, was standing there just like, oh, wow, honey, what are you doing? Or if she's just super cutthroat like he is. Let's get that promotion. We've got kids to feed.
Morning, Justin. How'd you sleep?
So is that really just a 2-bedroom house? I mean, when you look at it from the outside, it doesn't look like there's only 2 bedrooms, but whatever, I guess.
Gotta eat something. You're a growing boy. Oh, Jesus, did I just say that?
Do you want me to wash the sheets?
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, so considerate.
I really appreciate your letting me stay here.
Hey, it's no trouble. You can come anytime.
And then we see that he's drawn a sketch of Brian, and oh my god, it's really good.
He hates me.
He doesn't hate you.
Yes, he does.
Oh, he just looks so overwhelmed here.
And so does my dad. I pulled him off Brian and I hit him, and now I can't even go home.
Oh, sweetie, it's okay.
Now, don't say it's okay. And don't say anything bad about Brian either.
Well, that doesn't leave much room for conversation.
So I guess that he understands why Brian is feeling and acting the way that he is. Wow, good for Justin. Such a big person. And he's also kind of like the Brian Kinney whisperer.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. Oh, what am I gonna do?
Oh, Justin. Justin's just like, my life is so messed up right now. He's 17, he can't go home to his parents. He can't go to Brian's, and he just really feels like no one wants him.
You're going to do one thing at a time.
Right. First, you're going to take a shower.
Then you're going to have breakfast.
Then you're going to school.
I love that he went to Mel and Lindsay's house. It just shows that he trusts them and it's somewhere that he feels he can go. And they're so supportive and so welcoming. I mean, the fact that he went there, though, when he's only been to their house one other time before, also just kind of shows, like, this is his last stop. Like, this is the last place he can go, which is so sad. Honestly, I almost feel like he should have just stayed there. But, oh well. And they give him such good advice here. When you're overwhelmed and there's so much that you just can't figure out, you don't know where to start or what to do, you just do one thing at a time. Like, one simple task at a time.
Guy. And still he defends that fucking prick. You know, it amazes me.
Don't start. Allow me. Bri, it's Linz. Did I wake you? Good.
Michael's practicing a speech. I guess he's decided to tell Bob the truth.
I don't think it should affect my ability to do my job.
Is it because he thinks it's the right thing to do? I think it's probably because he thinks that Andrew's going to out him. So he kind of wants to beat him to the punch.
You might want to have a little celebration of your own. Well, after all, isn't that what you do when you get a promotion, Mr. Manager?
And then Tracy kisses him on the lips to, like, congratulate him. Everyone's around. Hey, oh god, so Tracy definitely thinks that they're dating now. Poor girl.
Heard you're not living at home anymore, huh?
That fucking Daphne and her big mouth.
Okay, wait, what? Not my Daphne. The Daphne that I know and love did not go out there spreading this around the school, telling all these kids Justin's personal business. Also, it's been like, what, like 3 nights that he's not lived at home? Like, that's it? There's just no way that Daphne is blabbing that to anyone at school, right? And even if she did, why does Justin never, like, confront her about this or seem to care? I don't know, to me this kind of feels like the...
My mom says sometimes she wished she never had me.
You know, as in it did not happen. But how did they find out? I guess a bunch of kids did see his mom give him his backpack and his uniform. So I guess some rumors could have been started based off of that. You know, just whatever. I guess I just have to, like, suspend my disbelief here. I mean, let's not forget that whole car dealership thing that has not been brought up by anyone since then. So let's put it into that category, I guess.
Me now. Faggot. What's up? Hey, wanna come get in the car? What the fuck is this?
Where are we going?
Home.
He seems kind of scared as to where they're going, and then we cut to Justin at his parents' house. So I get that this is a Brian saves Justin from the bullies moment, but it seemed unnecessary, especially since it seemed to require Daphne being a really terrible friend in order for it to happen. But also, how did Brian know that that is exactly where Justin would be at that exact time? Like, it seems to be like a kind of semi-hidden side entrance into the school. How did he even know that that entrance existed? Maybe he called Jennifer and she told him about where he would be, and exactly where he would be, and exactly what time. I mean, she does know when, you know, he's got essays and stuff. Maybe. I don't know. This whole thing is odd. So anyways, we're at Justin's house. Justin's not talking. He's staring at his hands, kind of playing with his jacket.
We want you to come home. It's where you belong.
And then we see that Brian is sitting there too. I can't believe Brian stayed. I guess to show some support for Justin. He probably feels bad. Lindsay obviously chewed him out pretty good. Maybe he also wanted to make sure that Justin would actually stay and hear out his parents.
What difference does it make with Brian?
Excuse me, I was speaking. Kindly let me finish.
You go, Jennifer. You put him in his place.
Justin?
Look at your mom, Justin.
We're staying here.
Which is, you know, reminds me of...
But why do you care what he says? You're his mother. Come and get him.
So, I guess she took Brian's advice. Brian realized what he had to do to get Justin home. He probably thought, you know, that's what's best for Justin. He can't stay with me. The way that I live, I'll constantly be hurting him. You know, not to mention that he wants to live the way he wants to.
Only if Dad says he's sorry to Brian.
Justin, he is the one who should be apologizing to you, for Christ's sakes. For making you think he loved you?
He never said he loved me. He said it was just a fuck, that's all.
Oh, Justin, so not the right crowd and not the right time. I think he's shooting for honesty and shock and kind of sticking it to him here, but not the right thing to say right now.
But I'm okay with that because that's all it was. All it should be.
Oh, poor Justin.
If you're gonna live in this house, there's rules you have to obey. You are not to go to gay bars or talk about your disgusting lifestyle. And you are never, ever to see him again.
And then we see Jennifer's face here, and she's not happy, but she doesn't say anything.
So in other words, for Justin to live here with you, he has to deny who he is, what he thinks, and how he feels.
Don't ask for your opinion, pal.
Well, that's not love. That's hate.
And when Brian says that's hate, we see Jennifer's face, and she kind of looks up at him and sees that it's true. She sees that Craig hates Justin, or is at least projecting that onto him, which is making Justin feel very ashamed, and she can feel Craig's disgust. And I think Jennifer knows this. She knows that this is what it would be like if Justin lived there. He would constantly feel the hatred coming from Craig. He would make him feel ashamed and that he has to hide because, you know, he would have to hide. I think Jennifer knows this, and this is why she kind of lets him go. She's gonna figure things out at home and get all of that sorted. While that's happening, it's best for Justin to be somewhere else and be somewhere where he can be who he is and not have to hide or feel hatred, you know, coming towards him. And it takes time to sort this stuff out. Jennifer doesn't have a job. She doesn't have her own income right now. You could say that Jennifer did some things wrong and she could have done better, and I think that that's definitely true. She could have made some better choices here, but she's doing the best that she can at the moment. She makes some mistakes, but she learns from them, which is something I really appreciate. Justin just seemed to kind of accept that he would have to live by these conditions. Because he's like, well, I can't stay with Brian. I can't sleep on Melanie and Lindsay's couch for forever. This is just what I gotta do to survive right now. You can't live here under these conditions. You shouldn't have to. No one should have to grow up in a house filled with hate. And Jennifer knows this too.
Justin, you coming?
And I love that moment. Jennifer's kind of hoping a little bit that he'll stay, while also knowing that he can't. And, you know, if we remember earlier on in the episode...
Look, I'm trying to protect our...
It's you he needs protection from!
That kind of comes back here. And I think she really realized that. Justin needs to be protected from him. She doesn't want him to be around Craig. It would do so much harm to him. So then Brian kind of comes in and does that. He protects him from Craig. He stands up for him, kind of like he's done with Gus in the past. Again, not in a weird way. I've mentioned before, Justin and sort of have parallel journeys. Not that Brian thinks of them in the same way at all. That's not what I mean when I say that.
Michael got promoted.
It's so nice to see Vic out and about.
You know that my son has the biggest heart and the most honest. Huh? Could those eyes lie?
Michael leaves the diner and he's outside and it's raining.
Nice going, Mikey.
I wish everyone would just stop congratulating.
Okay.
No, I'm
Take it
sorry.
back.
I'm a liar. And don't tell me I should be used to that, Mike.
That's not what I was going to say. What I was going to say is, it's not lying if they make you lie. The only truth they can accept is their own.
Great advice. I love that line so much. And it's so true. If you can't tell the truth about yourself because they wouldn't be able to accept it, then don't tell them. It's what you have to do, you know? If you know they're going to react badly or they're not going to accept it or whatever, you shouldn't really have to tell them if you don't want to.
What about you? I've got somebody waiting for me.
Obviously, Brian feels bad about the other night, the last 2 nights actually. He feels bad about how he treated Justin and what he did, especially considering all that he's gone through. So he wants to be there for him tonight. He wants to show up. Just him, not leave him waiting, especially when he's got so much hate directed at him right now from his dad. So then we see that Justin is heating up the jambalaya. Justin has even set the table and it's got 2 candles and everything. Brian's got another color on color combo. This time it's like a reddish, shiny-ish, satiny shirt and tie, both the exact same color. It's a little bit more subdued red this time, like a lot more subdued. So maybe, you know, Brian's kinder and softer now than he was before. Maybe that's what they're trying to say.
What's for dinner?
Jambalaya. From last night.
And the way he says last night, like that awful night that we shall not speak of.
It's not bad.
It's always better the second day. My mom says it's always better the second day.
And then Justin smiles and seems really relieved. Brian smiles and he looks really genuinely happy. And he smiles at Justin when Justin can't see. And then Justin smiles at Brian. He's really happy and Brian's not looking. This kind of goes back and forth a couple times. And then we pan to like a wide above shot kind of, and we see that they're smiling at each other now. And they just look really, really happy. So Brian comes back for all those reasons that I said. He feels bad for the last couple nights, especially last night, and he wants to be kind to Justin. He wants to show him some caring and affection after everything he's been through, and he doesn't want him to be surrounded by hate. And let's not forget, and it's pretty easy to considering everything that happened this episode, but I think that Brian genuinely likes Justin. He obviously also admires him.
I'm pretty brave, actually. Standing up to your father like that.
I think he enjoys Justin's company, which is something we saw a little bit at the beginning of this episode and in the last, you know, a couple episodes before this. And then, you know, Craig came and ruined everything. This moment right here. Both of them are kind of letting go of everything that happened the past couple days, and they're just having a really nice moment. And this is also Brian's version of apologizing, even though we know that he never apologizes.
No excuses, no apologies, no regrets.
And then Justin is there forgiving him. And I think it's just the two of them getting back to normal, or like to their new normal. And when Justin says,
It's always better the second day.
now Brian's better the second day, after they've had some time to adjust to everything, it's better now. That line that Brian said,
It's not lying. They make you lie.
perhaps this is some more insight to Brian and his parents. We know that he never came out to them. He told us that in 105.
Because I never told them.
Because they wouldn't be able to accept it. Whereas Justin has come out to his parents, even though his father can't accept it. Okay, to be clear, Justin didn't come out to his father. He just came out to his mother, but, you know, he's out to his father now. And so Brian doesn't want him to live there and live with that, where he would have to be someone that he's not. He doesn't want him to have to lie like he did growing up. And he's kind of like, okay, no, you don't love your son. He shouldn't be subjected to that. I know what that's like, and it's awful. So he decides that it's better for Justin to be with him and for him to make some sacrifices in order for Justin to be okay and be who he is.
My responsibility is to myself. I don't owe anybody a goddamn thing.
Okay, so I love this episode. I love it, love it, love it so much. Are we surprised? In some ways, this one feels like a bit of a continuation of the last episode in terms of Justin's stuff with his dad and with Brian. David and Michael's storyline got dropped a little bit in this episode, probably to make room for all of the Justin and his dad and Brian stuff, but they did have David in one scene to remind us that he's still there and he's still got issues with Brian. And I don't even want to talk about the car dealership stuff. And the title of the episode, Abalone Boomerang. So first Justin stays with Brian, and then he goes to Mel and Lindsay's place, and then he's briefly at his parents' before he then boomerangs back to Brian's place. So the theme in this episode, like others, is being yourself and being honest. Michael is still lying to Tracy and at work about who he is, but most importantly to Tracy. That poor girl is just falling so hard for Michael. Now she thinks that they're a couple and they're dating, but instead of Brian telling Michael to be honest about who he is, like he was doing in 105, he tells him that it's okay if it's all they can accept, which is quite the change for Brian, but I think it fits. A lot of stuff was brought up for Brian with the whole Justin and his parents thing, so he was probably remembering what it was like for him growing up in that house with his parents and not being able to be who he is and lying about it because they wouldn't accept it or wouldn't take it well, and seeing that Justin would kind of have to do that to live there. All of that just makes him kind of have a different approach with Michael than he's had in the past. So Justin is honest about who he is. I think Justin is kind of just figuring out this whole thing as he goes, because we see at Melanie and Lindsay's house how scared he is and that he doesn't know what he's doing. He just knows how he feels and he acts on it, which is again so brave of him. Debbie isn't honest about working too much and her money situation, and she pays for it. Although Michael is rewarded for his dishonesty. I think just showing again that sometimes that's what you have to do. But we'll see how that develops. Great episode, great lines, great moments, great character development, relationship development, all the developments. So next time is season 1, episode 9, Daddy Dearest, Sunny Boy. Thanks for watching. Do all the things. See you next time.